Let's talk about this. Let's restate this. People see Trump fights back with lawsuit. Hey, Trump is fighting with a lawsuit. That's right, because former President Trump is set to sue the Justice Department for $100 million, big ones, in damages. This was over the Mar-a-Lago property raid. Give a little background again on that.
That's right. So this is notice has been served to the Department of Justice and making a claim under the Federal Tort Claims Act. So this is the mechanism for which a private individual can sue the government if they have been wronged in some way by a federal employee that was acting on behalf of the government. So what we're seeing here is that this suit is now there's 180 days that the federal government, the Department of Justice, can respond or try to settle this before going to court. After that, if it is not resolved, then it will go into federal court in the Southern District of Florida. This is the Mar-a-Lago raid case, so the Jack Smith case that was related to the classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. Now, this raid did take place before Jack Smith was appointed. So the FBI first raided, and then after the raid is when Merrick Garland appointed Jack Smith as special counsel. That case has been thrown out of court by Judge Cannon because she ruled that he was unconstitutionally appointed. It wasn't an appropriate appointment. As an officer of the United States would normally need to go through some sort of confirmation process, and he was not. It also violated the Appropriations Act because of the Appropriations amendment in the Constitution because of the way that they even bragged about having an unlimited budget with unlimited scope to go after the president. So what President Trump is trying to do here is actually fight back. In one of these cases, the first opportunity to fight back, not just be the defendant and fight it all the way to the Supreme Court, by trying to go on the offensive. Now, it's a long shot. These aren't claims that are typically just dished out. It's not an easy process, especially since the case, although it's been thrown out, the raid happened before Jack Smith was appointed. So it wasn't necessarily at the direction of Jack Smith. It was the Attorney General and the FBI
Don't tell
director.
People that. They want to hear that it's Jack Smith directed. Well,
but I understand, but I am laying out the facts. It is not necessarily just an easy road, but I do like to see that when you've seen so much overstep, so much corruption, that we're now seeing someone fight back.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. I think it's a cool moment. There's also another piece that's going on. You guys talked about this Friday when I was out, which is that one of the cases for Trump has been delayed significantly. We were pushing for it. It was potentially going to happen. It looks like it was approved.
That's right. So we talked about on Friday with Jordan the fact that Jack Smith had asked for another 3-week extension to a status hearing, a status conference that they were supposed to be having this week in the Chutkan case. This is the January 6th case. Judge Chutkan in D.C. is the presiding judge over this.
You know when you say those words, that month and that day, the YouTube actually puts a little, here's the truth about it, information.
Oh, interesting. Am I telling the truth or not? Who's to say?
Well, it just says, if you don't know what this is, here's a little fun fact.
Well,
it's like the old COVID rules.
So in this one, Jack Smith had asked for a 3-week delay, saying that he needed more time to parse out how this case will go forward in light of the immunity decision by the U.S. Supreme Court, as well as the decision by the Supreme Court in the Fisher case. That was the case against another January 6th defendant, that it was the obstruction of an official act were the charges that the Supreme Court said were overbroad. And so that defendant was able to get those removed. And those were also 2 charges that President Trump had been charged with. So within all of these 2 things, these 2 Supreme Court decisions that happened July 1st and June 28th of this year, that now he's saying, I still need more time. It's been over a month. That status hearing would have been plenty of time, you would think, for him to be able to get his ducks in a row to figure out which way to go. He needs more time, and the judge agreed on Friday to push this back. So the new hearing date will be September 5th is when their status hearing will be, which was supposed to be August 16th.
Yeah, so just a couple weeks, 3 weeks from now, that'll be happening. So, I mean, it got delayed, but not extensively, just enough.
That's right. But the big question is, as Jack Smith looks through all this, and in light of what the Supreme Court did, Will there even be a case at all to move forward with? How narrow will his scope now become? And will the judge have to do any steps like an evidentiary hearing so she can parse out which things they intend to bring, which may run afoul of the Supreme Court's opinion in the immunity case?
Let's go ahead and take a phone call, though. Let's go to Daryl, who's calling in Texas on line 1. Daryl, you're on the air.
Yes, I think the debates will happen. The debates are going to be awesome, but I think the VP debate is going to be drawing way more attention because I think Kamala is going to crash and burn. And I think that's why they sent her this VP, to be able to fight fire with fire, because Vance has fire and Kamala doesn't. So the only way to keep this interesting is to have someone like Walt go up against someone like Vance, because otherwise it'd be child's play.
Yeah, I think, Daryl, that's an interesting point, which is I do think there is sort of a more untraditional, or maybe more traditional rivalry between Vance and Walz, because there is that sort of, they both have the military background. They've now kind of mixed it up a little bit. This does feel more like the traditional debate going into it, where what we have with Harris is this weird situation where obviously Biden lost so bad last time that he had to withdraw. Now she's put in this weird position. He's put in a weird position because they're not really used to, we're planning on working together this way and having these debates. But when you look at it this way, it's kind of fun. The fact that you could have a vice presidential debate that maybe could honestly also show a future of the Republican Party, maybe not the Democrats. I don't know if Walz has the long-term plans, but he's not as old as you think. He very well could be running for president if they were to win and go two terms. He'd only be in his late 60s. There's a chance that you could see a future of either of these parties through both of these candidates.
That's right. So what we do know is that there will be, at least right now, on September 10th, a debate on ABC. President Trump, when he did his press conference last week, he said that he had pitched and actually agreed to do it with the networks if Harris would sign on as well. 3 debates, one on Fox News, one on ABC, and one on NBC, all in the month of September. But it does appear that the ABC debate on September 10th is the one that the Harris campaign has agreed to.
Yeah, but I don't know. Did the Trump campaign agree to do that one if she did not do the others?
So that's where it's muddy. We're not quite sure.
I don't think
but
so.
As of right now, they were still touting, the media at least was touting this would be the debate. But I know that President Trump is pushing for more. Yeah. The other angle of it is that we don't know a timing of a potential VP debate.
Oh, I thought that was some reason. I thought there was more.
But what we are looking for is whether or not this will happen. And like you said, the J.D. Vance made the rounds on the Sunday shows this weekend. He was asked directly about the contrast between he and Governor Walz. That he brought up the military issues. And also, he did a really good job, especially on CNN with Dana Bash, of saying, listen, you keep going to like, here's a comment you said 3 years ago. Here's this. You know what we need to be talking about is the issues. He did the job that I feel like many people were hoping he would do, of saying like, no, let's not just talk about personality and politics. Let's talk about the real policies that we would bring forward. And that's something that the Harris campaign is getting criticized for often.
And again, I encourage you to support the work of the ACLJ, all our legal work, all of our media work. And there is some amazing stuff happening. If you are a proud citizen of this country, and maybe you're a pro-life citizen of this country, you're going to want to stay tuned, because we have such an amazing announcement coming in the next few days that you're going to want to get involved in. Just want to tease that a bit. But you've seen what's been going on in the press, whether that's our work now with Tulsi Gabbard to help her as we prepare the lawsuits over her targeting, whether it's going on in Israel or even in the federal appeals court today in Ocala, Florida. We are supporting your beliefs. Go right now to aclj.org.